that the National Weather Service felt, based on what they were looking at radar, the severe thunderstorm was capable of producing a tornado. Don't know yet whether or not that has happened or is happening. It was near Hopkinton, moving southeast at 15 miles per hour, which would be toward Milford. There's the lightning that we just saw. Joe Venuti is helping us, of course, here to see all these different elements and aspects of the storm. And there's the lightning, and obviously very dangerous lightning. Look at all the strikes just in the past hour from this little area of the storm. So this is the core of the cell. It is tending to move this way with time at about 15 miles per hour. Possible rotation, which means possible tornado. When there is rotation, if it comes down to the ground, that's when you can have an actual tornado. But a lot of times there's just rotation in the clouds that doesn't make it down to the ground. Here's a wider look, and you see this is really the only cell of maximum importance right now, of course, because of the warning that is issued as it continues to drift off to the southeast. And obviously we'll continue to monitor it as we go along. We want to also show you some other information that's very vital. That's tornado safety. What to do when this warning occurs and you're in a community that's affected. You want to be in the lowest level of the building you're in or your home. You want to be away from exterior walls and windows. You want to be in the central portion, an interior hallway, a closet, anything like that. Obviously, you don't want to get caught outside in a storm like this. There's flying debris, amongst other things that happens if a tornado actually is occurring down at ground level. All right, little more information is just being handed to me. The tornado warning still remains in effect. This was as of 3:25 until 3:45. Same areas. Doppler radar continued to indicate a tornado that the National Weather Service is looking at. So in addition to the hail, they are seeing rotation, and that indeed can mean that it's possible a tornado is on the ground. You see here is Framingham, and there is Franklin, and there is the storm right in between as it moves off to the southeast at about 15 miles per hour. That hail marker is very, very significant. It's possible this hail could be quite large, and it in itself can be damaging, can cover the ground when it gets to be large. This would be where the tornado is if it is in fact a tornado. You see it right here. There it is, and it's moving off in this direction. We're tilting up to get a look of it in 3 dimensions. A little bit more about it. At 3:23 p.m., it still indicated, according to radar, a possible tornado located near Hopkinton or near Milford, or both, moving southeast at 10 miles per hour, which now means other locations in the warning area, which include but are not limited to Holliston. 3 dimensions. When you see this tall into the atmosphere, that suggests intense thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. We already know it is producing hail. So that's the story here. Again, when a tornado warning is issued based on Doppler radar, which is what's happened here, it means strong rotation has been detected in the storm. Again, it's above ground, but we see strong rotation. If the rotation makes it down to the ground, then we have a funnel that becomes a tornado. It may already be on the ground, or it could develop and stretch down to the ground. So if you're in the path of the storm, obviously you move indoors and lowest level of the building, away from windows, as I've mentioned. Obviously, anybody in a car driving should not seek shelter under highway overpass. That's a dangerous area. Heavy rains can obscure seeing it as an actual tornado. So that's why it's important to take cover and be as protective as you can when this happens. There is where it's located. Another thing with this is it's producing a tremendous amount of rain, and flooding, as we witnessed yesterday, is a major concern as well. It's actually the #1 weather-related cause of deaths. The force of the water, most people underestimate it. We should never drive through flooded areas, especially significantly flooded areas. Vehicles can be swept downstream, and that's important to note as well. All right, so that's what we have on it right now. Continuing to follow it, we'll manipulate all the technology we have here, make the best determinations as we can. But you saw the situation, and you see the story. So once again, this is what we want you to know. Located near Hopkinton and Milford, moving southeast at 10 miles per hour, which means other locations in the warning area include but are not limited to Holliston. Okay, there's 495. You see it right there. So that's what the story is with the storm. There you see its location, continuing to move off to the south and east. Ed or Susan, do you have a little more information to share?
Harvey, if you don't mind staying with it, because I think you're really helping us a lot in understanding what's going. We can obviously see the intensity of it. Carry us through again in the direction where it appears to be heading. The size of it doesn't seem to be breaking down at all. It seems to be the same size.
Certainly, as minimally a very severe thunderstorm, that is quite in evidence. And you know, it's like a separated cell, so that's why we have to be concerned, because sometimes that happens when you're having a day with thunderstorms in different areas. One cell can suddenly become the very strong one. We look for a hook kind of a situation on radar. We may be seeing some of that right here. Once again, we're seeing the hail, but the National Weather Service is reporting that they're seeing significant rotation. All right, that's able to see this. What happens is you notice that with the technology, Doppler technology, that you have strong winds going in one direction, and then right next to it, strong winds in another direction. When you have that very, very strong shear, rapid change in wind direction over a very, very small distance, that strong wind shear can lead to the rotation that can lead to a tornado. Liz, I think you have some information for us.
I do, actually. We have News Center 5's Gail Huff on the phone, who is actually driving into the Hopkinton area right now. Gail, give us a sense of exactly where you are and what kind of conditions you're observing from your car.
Well, we are driving right into Hopkinton right now. We've been through Boylston, Northborough, Shrewsbury, Marlborough, and Southborough, continuing to travel through this storm, raining very, very heavily. We have quite a bit of street flooding. In some areas, you have puddles that are about half a foot deep. Along Route 290, cars were literally pulled over to the side because it's raining so hard that there really is very, very poor visibility. Now, at one point, we did look at the sky, very dark clouds, and said, wow, those look like tornado clouds. But we have not seen any funnel shapes. We also have not seen any actual hail, but seeing extreme downpour conditions right here in Hopkinton.
Well, Gail, Lieutenant William Lukey said that wherever he is in Hopkinton with the Hopkinton Fire Department, he did see hail. I'm curious to know, though, because you are driving and you say that the rain is coming down so heavily, how fast are you able to move in these kinds of conditions? You said a lot of people pulled over to the side of the road.
About 30 miles an hour. For those that decide to travel in it, you do have to be very careful traveling in rain when it's so heavy that you can barely see out the windshield, and that's why a lot of cars just pulled over. Now, plus, there's concern about flooding. They don't want to take the chance of their car becoming disabled.
Sure. Now, Harvey said to us that this storm, this major thunderstorm, is moving in the southeast direction at 10 miles per hour. Which direction are you headed? Are you headed into Hopkinton? Are you headed away from Hopkinton at this point?
We are in Hopkinton, actually heading south towards Milford. So
you're right.
We're in the exact track of the storm and the tornado or possible tornado action that is being reported by the Weather Service. So we're in the exact line of where they're talking about, and we've been following it for probably about 20 minutes now.
Well, you know, Gail, we had such major storms move through the area yesterday, and there was significant flooding in much of our viewing area. And again today, it sounds like you're experiencing the very same thing in this particular storm spot.
Yes, and many areas that got flooding yesterday, they're going to see the exact same thing, I'm sure, again today. And a lot of those places still hadn't cleaned up yet. So turning out to be quite a long summer in the early weeks.
Well, drive safely, although I don't think you are actually doing the driving at the moment, which is probably a good thing so that you can talk to us. We appreciate that. Stay safe out there. Let's head back into the newsroom right now with Susan Warnick. Susan?
Okay, Liz, as Gail just said, we're hearing from people in that area who are calling us. They're on the BostonChannel.com. We're getting eyewitness accounts of a lot of rain, heavy rain, hail in some areas. In Westboro Fire Department tells us that the rain and hail came down very quickly. And at the same time, during a tornado, we once again want to remind you of the things that are very important to know. Hopefully you won't need the information, but if you do, you have to have it. Go to the lowest building level. If you have a basement, go to the basement. The most important thing that the Federal Emergency Management Agency tells us is that if you're in a structure, you want to put as many walls between you and the outside as you possibly can in the case of a tornado. If you're in a vehicle like a car, you know, a truck or a trailer, a mobile home, just get out. Get out of it and go to a ditch. If you can find a ditch, to the lowest possible area of the ground. A flat location, and I know this is going to sound really silly, but a lot of people don't think about it. Cover your head with your hands. The FEMA people tell us that the most deaths and injuries are caused by